Hello everyone, this is your host, your friend, your boy, Jet Black, the one and only, here with another exciting video. And in this video, I'm going to be doing some AI Dungeon 2. It was requested after I did my Wishmaster inspired episode, where I had to stop a genie from destroying the world in 30 minutes or less, that I do a Death Note inspired episode, where I play as a detective and I try and stop a murderer with a magical journal. So I create the scenario where you can play as either the detective or the murderer, in case you guys want to see a sequel to this video where I play as the murderer, where as the detective, you're trying to get the murderer to confess. So you essentially already know who the murderer is, but you're trying to get them to straight up say, yes, they are the murderer. And in the murderer version, you're essentially confronting the detective and trying to get the detective's name, because you know that the detective is on to you. But if you can get their name, you can write their name down in your journal, and then the detective will just die. So yeah, I'm going to be playing as the detective this time, which means I'm trying to get the murderer to confess while also making sure not to disclose my name. So can I do that in 30 minutes or less? Let's find out. So I'm going to start the timer now, and I'm going to jump right into the adventure. So I'm going to pick the detective route. I'm going to be named Jet Black, because that's what I always name my characters. And the murderer's name, I'm just going to name Billy. Or maybe something more threatening, like Throtar. Throtar. There we go. So I'm Jet Black, and the murderer's name is Throtar. Let's get the story generated. You are Jet Black. You are a detective. You're trying to track down a murderer who can kill anyone by writing their name down in a magical journal. You don't know who the murderer is, but you suspect it to be Throtar. You are currently standing in front of the person that you suspect to be the murderer. They are holding a journal. They are trying to figure out your name. You don't want to tell them your name because you don't want them to kill you. Your goal is to get the murder suspect to confess so that you can arrest them. You can be direct and just tell them that they are the killer, but this could alarm them and make them shut up. Alternatively, you can try to figure out what they already know. You've been asking around a lot about the murders, so they may know that you are investigating. Okay, so the extra part after "so you can arrest them" is what the AI generated, and that first blurb is just what I created for the scenario. So I'm going to double check to make sure that I'm recording. I am, and I'm going to double check to make sure that I started the timer. I have. So let's hop on in and solve this case. Okay, I'm going to say, I see you have a journal there. Do you mind if I look at it? You know that if Throtar is the murderer, that their journal will contain the names of the murder victims. You also know that you'll feel a lot safer if the journal isn't in the murderer's hands. Yeah, so as long as they have the journal, if they can figure out my name, they could kill me at any moment. So if I can get them to hand the journal to me, that'll help a lot. The leader considers your request and then hands you the book. You open it up and see that the first few pages contain some symbols in a language that you don't understand. Huh. It says the leader, which is interesting. I'm going to change that to Throtar, or Throtar. I still don't know how to say the name that I made up. I should have went with something simple, but Throtar I think sounds like a cool name. Or Throtar. I don't know how to say it. You wonder if the murderer writes people's names in a magical language. You think that is a clever idea, because if you don't know the language, you can't prove that the names in the journal are the names of the people who have been murdered. You realize that you'll need Throtar to directly confess to the murders, or at the very least, give you something that you can use to translate the names written in the journal. You ask Throtar for a, I guess, translator, like a translation key for the journal. So this is interesting. I actually really like that concept. Because if they are written in like a code, there's no way for me to know if it actually is filled with the murder victim names. I don't understand. I let you look at my journal, and this is how you thank me? You want more from me? That's interesting. Let's see. You stealthily start your tape recorder in your pocket. You want to make sure that if Throtar confesses, that you get the confession on tape. You say, "You seem rather defensive. Do you have something that you're trying to hide? Perhaps something illegal?" I notice that your journal is written in code. Is that because the contents of the journal would reveal that you've done something immoral? You are trying to push Throtar's buttons to get him to confess. Yeah, this is a very interesting situation. What could be immoral about killing some no-good dirty bloodsuckers that are going to hell anyway? Whenever I saw one of those bloodsuckers, I did the world a favor by killing them, Throtar says. Oh, it messed up his name. It called him Throtar. Throtar. That's interesting. Let's see. Change that in. I'm going to say, and by bloodsuckers, do you mean the many people who have mysteriously and magically died recently? Are you confessing to the murder of these people? You are excited. You think that Throtar is about to confess that he truly is the murderer. Okay, come on. I'm glad that he's like essentially barking up about it. That's good. I need him to spill the beans. Ooh, he said, yes, I did it, and I do it again. If your theory is correct, then I suppose my writings in this journal would reveal the names of the people I slayed. But you're not quick enough to read it before I kill you too. I'm going to say, how do you plan on killing me? I have your journal in my hand, and you don't know my name. You smirk. Yeah, this is actually a really interesting scenario, because I have no idea what he's going to do. Let's see. I'm not going to do the story summary thing. Throtar pulls out a revolver from his side. I have other ways of knowing who you are, detective. You look into Throgar's eyes and see madness looking back at you. You've provoked him, and now you're going to have to pay the price. Hold on. So, this is actually really interesting. So I'm going to say, you don't use guns. You killed all of your victims using this magic journal. Are you trying to use that gun to intimidate me into revealing my name and handing you your journal back? He could just shoot me straight out. You're smarter than you look, but unfortunately for you, I'm not going to give you the opportunity to try any cleverness. I'm just going to kill you like I killed all the rest. Throtar lunges at you, but due to his size, he is slow. I don't know why it can't spell his name. It keeps messing up his name. You realize that Throtar is lunging at you to try and get his journal back. Let's see. I only have so many options of things that I can do. You attempt, to smack Throtar on the side of the head with the magical journal. You are trying to stun Throtar and get him to drop his revolver. I hope this works. You swing the book at I mean, it made his name even weirder. You swing the book at Throtar's head, but miss completely. Throtar is not impressed by your attempt to stun him, and instead he smacks you on the side of your head with his revolver. My journal, he exclaims, as he smacks you again with the gun. Oh goodness. I probably would have done better by, dodging. But getting smacked in the head with a gun is much worse than getting smacked in the head with a book. Let's see. So how am I going to get out of this situation? I need to arrest him. I also need to stop getting hit in the head with a revolver. You attempt to push Throtar away from you. You yell, "Drop the revolver." Oh yeah, drop the revolver and put your hands up. If you don't, I'll destroy your magical journal. You imagine that Throtar wouldn't risk you destroying the journal. You hope that Throtar cooperates. So that's my plan. If I threaten to essentially get rid of his magic journal, then hopefully he'll give up trying to resist. Threats don't work on Throts at all. Goodness, it really can't say his name. Threats don't work on Throtar at all. He takes advantage of your attempt to push him away and smacks you again with his revolver. After that, the pain is so great you black out. You're not quite dead yet, though. Oh, dang it. Okay, so this is actually really bad. Let's see. You attempt to wake up and look around. You're glad that Throtar hasn't killed you. But you have no idea. Well, I guess I'm not gonna say, but you have no idea. You are scared as you don't know what's happened since you blacked out. You wake up and find yourself laying in a hospital bed. You look over and see Throgmorton sitting in a chair in the corner of the room. It really just doesn't want to say Throtar. He waddles over to you and says, "You've been out for 3 days. I was getting worried." Ooh. Okay. I would then say, "I'm surprised that you didn't kill me while I was unconscious." What are you planning, Throtar? I know that you're the murderer. You raise your fist in preparation to defend yourself. You look at Throtar and check to see if he has his magical journal with him. You're afraid that Throtar might have discovered your name while you were unconscious. I'm not sure why you're accusing me of these murders. I had nothing to do with them. I brought you to the hospital after you collapsed. You have no idea what you've been saying in your coma. I bet I know who is behind all this. Dr. Mole. No, it's not a Dr. Mole thing. You believe that Throtar is trying to trick you to knock you off of his trail. You already have his confession on your tape recorder. You ask Throtar, well, actually, you should look around. You look around to see if there is a police officer nearby. And check to see if you still have your tape recorder. Yeah, because that's really all I need. If I can get the confession to the police, then that could work. You realize that you're still in the hospital and that there aren't any police officers around. You also realize that you don't have your tape recorder with you. I think I'm going to be okay now, but I really should get back to work. So hold on a second. I'm going to get rid of that where I say something weird. I'm going to say, where are my belongings? You decide to play along with Throtar's ruse for now. You need to find your tape recorder and get it to the police. You imagine that Throtar doesn't know your name because if they did, you would probably already be dead. Your belongings? I have no idea where they are. I just came to visit you in the hospital because I was worried about you. I found you passed out on the street after you had been attacked. You say, well, I guess you don't say that. You think that Throtar has come up with an elaborate story to act as an alibi. You're trying to figure out how you can get Throtar to confess again in a way that he can't easily cover up. You look around to see if your hospital room has any security cameras. Okay. If I can get him to confess on camera, then I don't have to have my tape recorder. Throwing out false accusations will only make Throtar less likely to cooperate with you. You decide that it would be best to try to work with him as much as possible. Throtar, I'm sorry for accusing you of attacking me. I must have been seeing things. I'm not going to say that. Retry. Do the thing that I said that I was going to do. Okay. You notice a camera in the top left corner of the room. You realize that Throtar's story is a lie, and he attacked you. I already know that. Yeah, like, what do you mean I realize that? I know that that's true. Okay. You think that now is the perfect time to try and get Throtar to confess on camera in the hospital room. You say, you called them bloodsuckers, the people that you killed. You called them bloodsuckers. Admit it. You are the murderer. You are hoping that the word bloodsuckers causes the murderer to snap and confess. Yeah, because he kept saying that earlier. He kept saying, yeah, I killed those bloodsuckers again. He talks about them as if they're like vampires. Throtar looks at you with disappointment and says, I'm not a murderer. I'm a slayer of the unholy. Why would I kill you, someone who is obviously a good person? You are unsure of his response. He seems to have thought up on the spot. Well, actually, nope. I'm pretty sure of his response. So what I would say is that, are you admitting to being responsible for the recent murders because you believe that the murder victims were vampires? Because that's what it sounds like. Now that he said Slayer of the Unholy, I'm almost sure that's what he's saying. You realize that you should try a different tactic, as accusing him of being a murderer again is not getting you anywhere. Shut up, game. Let me say that, and let me hear what he says. I'm not admitting to anything. You need to remember that you still have no evidence. I will say that you are getting warmer, though. Why don't we head back to your home where you are safer? I think I understand what he's trying to do. Okay. So you know that if you lead Throtar back to your house, that he can reverse search your address to learn your name, to kill you with the magical journal. You insist on staying in the hospital room. You think you are close to getting Throtar to admit that he is the murderer. You say, So you're a vampire slayer? Have you slayed any vampires recently? Yeah, if I just like change the way I talk about it, I can get him to confess. Throtar has a sudden look of terror on his face. He nervously looks around the hospital room. Throtar looks like he's about to explode. He begins to make hand gestures, but you can't quite make them out from your perspective. Okay. Interesting. I've hit a nerve. Do. I'm going to say, if you are a hero who has protected the city from vampires, then you should tell me that you're the one responsible for killing those people. You know, I'm sure people will understand if you tell me that the people were actually evil vampires. You want to get Throtar comfortable so that he will confess out of a belief that he is being rewarded for doing something good. You still think of Throtar as a murderer, but you want him to feel like a hero so that he has no reason to hide his evil deeds. Yeah. If he thinks he's doing the right thing, I think he'll take credit. I'm not a murderer. I'm not a murderer, Throtar begins to shout. You notice several hospital staff begin to gather outside your door. You also notice a few police officers. All of them have grim expressions on their faces. I'm going to say, tell me then, are the vampires you slayed the murder victims? You can be honest with me. You can tell that Throtar is having a breakdown. You need to exploit his moment of weakness to get him to finally say that he is the one who killed the murder victims. Alright, come on. We now have like witnesses and stuff too. This is the time. I'm not a murderer. I'm not a murderer, Throtar begins to shout. Oh, it's just repeating. Don't repeat. Retry. All right, you win. The vampires I killed are the people who have recently been murdered, Throtar finally confesses. The hospital staff and police officers enter your hospital room. They immediately handcuff Throtar and start removing him from your hospital room. Huh. That's cool. I wonder if Throtar has made like such a commotion that he actually like got the people to like get to the door inadvertently. Because it says that he like shouted and then that's what had people come up to the door. Nice. How much time do we have left? 1 minute and like 34 seconds. Ba-dum-bum-bum. And that's what I would do in a Death Note style situation. I'd pretty much die, except not really. Because I mean, he really could have killed me. He could have shot me with the revolver like much earlier. He could have beat me to death with the revolver. He could have left me somewhere to die. I do think it's really interesting that he like took me to the hospital and that he tried to go, "Oh no, I didn't attack you. I'm not the murderer. I'm like a good citizen and I just found you like in the street and I brought you to the hospital. I'm just trying to like help you get back on your feet kind of thing. I'm Mr. Nice Guy." But to be honest, if he hadn't have said bloodsucker earlier when I was like essentially talking to him and trying to get him to confess, then I wouldn't have really had anything to have gone off of in order to then get him to confess now. But I think this is really interesting because it unravels a story where Throtar is this murderer with a magical journal that's like a death note, but the people that he kills he believes are vampires. Whether or not they actually are vampires or not, I don't know. But job well done. I got him to confess, and I made the arrest. And that's all in a day's work for Jet Black, detective. What do you guys think of this Death Note style AI Dungeon 2 video? Would you guys like a sequel where I play as the murderer? Definitely let me know in the comment section below and on our Discord. Also, this was a suggestion made by my boy John Mason. If you guys want to suggest scenarios or prompts for me to play, definitely make sure to put your suggestions in the comment section below and on our Discord. Thank you all for watching. If you guys like this video, make sure to smash that like button, favorite, comment, subscribe, and ding, 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 ring that notification bell to be notified whenever we do these videos. This is your host, your friend, your boy, Jet Black, the one and only, logging out. Peace, guys. Chicken guy. Don't forget to share this video with your friends, especially if they're fans of AI Dungeon 2, Mysteries, or Death Note. Peace. I'll talk to you again soon.